Good entertainment. This is episode 70. This is our politics and controversy episode, and we will be discussing imprisonment and punishment today. I'm here with my lovely co-host Lola Laracy. How you doing, Lola?
Well, I was doing better until a second ago when Sai said, "I can't hear you."
Can't hear us.
He can hear us now.
He can hear us now.
Okay.
Shall I redo the introduction?
Yeah.
Right. I'm just going to start all over again. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Beery Good Entertainment. This is episode 70. This is our politics and controversy episode, and today we will be discussing imprisonment and punishment. I'm here today with my lovely co-host, Lola Laracy. Hey, Lola, how are you doing?
I'm all right. Still rocking the cheap beer because I pour.
No judgment. No judgment whatsoever, because I'm moving into a new apartment, so I pour too.
I bet you don't have a whole lot of money either. That's not.
We just finished paying off the security deposit, and I think we're going to be eating cheap chicken for the next 2 months.
It's okay as long as you can pay for what you need to pay for.
Well, I'm just happy we found a nice apartment, and yeah, happy.
I'm happy too. Happy. Good.
Well, how about that cheap beer? Which cheap beer are you rocking today?
The same one I had last week, but I'm mixing it with Newcastle today. So I never heard of it, but when I showed it to Jason and Sai, they had a reaction. So apparently it's well known. Steel?
Oh, yes. Steel Reserve, okay. Yes.
You know Steel? I'd never heard of it.
Really? It is very popular in 7-Eleven, Circle K, but as I said, no judgment because everybody's been there. How does it go with Newcastle? Does it taste beer-like?
It still tastes like soda beer.
Still tastes like soda beer?
Yeah. I was trying to go for like a snake bite thing. Like when you mix Creeks or whatever with Newcastle or Guinness. That's what I was trying to go for. I probably need a little bit more Newcastle to get that happening. So let me pour a little bit more Newcastle. When I drank the Steel Blackberry last week by itself, I got heartburn, like right off. That notes of heartburn in the back of my throat coming down from my esophagus. Because it was so much sugar and so I'm trying to cut that with some Newcastle, some savory and not so much sugary.
I think that's called the Steel Reserve effect.
I think that sounds about right, because it was like right off. I was like, oh.
Hey, don't forget to put that on Untapped. Notes of heartburn. I wish they would make that an option.
Yeah, this isn't going anywhere near Untapped. I think they would kick me off if I put that. That might not even be available as an option in Untapped. I don't know.
Well, I was kind of lucky/unlucky. When we went out to arrange for our new apartment, I found a new to us place, but apparently I learned from you, this is not an actual craft brewery. This is one of those breweries that attempts to look craft, but it's actually a chain.
Oh, are you talking about BJ's?
BJ's Brew House.
I know it's a chain because they have restaurants. I mean,
this was a massive place. It looked very like it looked like Buffalo Wild Wings type, but it was much nicer. It wasn't so like, it had lots of screens, but it wasn't so blatantly sports pub like.
Okay.
And I was actually very, I think for a 6-pack I think it was $10. It's priced the same as most of the craft beers in the store. So they weren't gypping me by trying to push it up to like $15 or $16 like I normally see, which I really did appreciate for a 6-pack. And let's see.
Yeah. I went to their restaurant once and I liked it. I had the red ale.
Now this is very light. What they're calling this, the name of it is blonde. It's not a blonde.
Okay.
They label it as a Kolsch, but it's not exactly a Kolsch either. They're using some type of German yeast.
Okay.
Which has lots of banana, specifically Hefeweizen banana type aromas. And it's a little thicker than a Kolsch, but it's still only 4.7%, which is typical of a Kolsch. And it's definitely got the nice Kolsch / Hefeweizen coloring of like a light orange gold. The head is pretty fluffy. The head fades pretty fast, but it's a fluffy white.
That's good. Looks like a solid beer.
And it is very drinkable. I will give them that. This is definitely drinkable, and it was fantastic with a fried chicken sandwich. Like insanely good with a fried chicken sandwich.
That sounds like it'd be good. Now
like if you just wanted to have like a sandwich and bolt down 2 of these, you would not have a problem. It is
easy going.
Yeah, it's very easy going. So no matter the confusion on what the type of beer is, at 4.7%, this is worth drinking.
It's funny because I think any one of us could have told you it's a chain because Cy has had it too. So this is like one of the few beers we could all get.
But I'd never seen them before. Now I noticed another chain open up in Corvallis. So it's not bad enough that, you know, like 2 or 3 sports pubs have failed in the same place. Another one opened up called Bench Warmers, right across from Buffalo Wild Wings.
Ooh, taking on the wings, the Wild Wings.
I mean, how dense do you have to be to open up the same type of pub in a place where 3 places have failed as sports pubs, right across from a chain that, you know, like has half the market?
Yeah. Well, I would call that hubris. But maybe, I mean, if Wild Wings is overcrowded, maybe they can entice the people who can't get into Wild Wings. I know they're very popular, so.
And that is, I have to give them that. If they're going on marketing, they're doing marketing right, because they are attracting an initial crowd, which Round Table did not. Round Table was empty 100% of the time.
So sad.
This place has actually been pretty full since its soft opening almost 10 days ago.
Okay.
And they do offer a decent range of beers, not as much as Buffalo Wild Wings, but a decent range of beers. So it's, you know, it seems okay. Now, they're definitely not in BJ's league. Like if it's in Corvallis, I think that would be the end of it for Buffalo Wild Wings.
I really liked it. I only went there once just because I don't go out to that area that much, but I liked it. I think Clint liked BJ's. Didn't you like BJ's? No. He said it was all right. That's sterling praise from him.
That's all you need. That's all you need is it's all right. Because the menu is like, they give you a dictionary for a menu.
Oh, wow.
Like the menu has some heft to it. Like if you handed this to grandma, you'd have to hold it for her.
Yeah, that's too much. I get overwhelmed.
So many choices. So many choices.
Ooh, Cy's been busy. He
said, look at that.
BJ's strives to be Carl Strauss. Now, I don't know what Carl Strauss is.
Buffalo Wild Wings is great, but they are stupid pricey. I totally agree with that. Look, I don't want to pay $20 for 7 wings. $20 for 7. Are you out of your mind? I'll go home and make them.
It's not that good. Nothing's that good. And he said his Round Table on campus is getting replaced with a chicken place. So maybe there's just something happened to the Round Table chain or something.
Round Table was the big in the late 70s and 80s. Round Table was the pizza place to go to.
Okay, I've never heard of it.
Yeah, they whipped the crap out of Pizza Hut on the West Coast.
Good, okay.
They tried a resurgence in the past couple of years with fancier, you know, fancier family friendly places to go and watch a game with beer and upscale pizza. I've always considered their pizza to be upscale because I've always enjoyed it like that, but I am biased because I loved their pizza as a child, so that's what I'm going off of.
Yeah. You have fun memories.
Huh? Pizza is just okay.
Okay. Well, sometimes it's just okay.
Sometimes just okay. But their resurgence really didn't do much. So I think a lot of them are closing now. And you know, if you're putting in a custom chicken place or a Thai place, you're probably going to do much better.
Yeah, I love Thai food. It's expensive though.
And Thai food is really good with beer.
I love Thai food. I usually get I think usually the only beer they have is like, I think they tend to have, is there Thai beer? I'm not sure.
Yes, there is. Tiger. Tiger's
okay,
Tiger.
That might be what I had. I can't remember. I usually tend to have wine when I'm at Thai places because the Thai food that I have is so heavy that I need something thin to go down with it. So I tend to get wine. I'm like, I don't need beer along with it because then, you know, I'll just be belch.
But I love lagers. I love plain lagers with, you know, like plain light lagers with Thai food because there are a lot of noodles with my, when I eat Thai food, I tend to associate it with a lot of noodles. So
I love noodles.
Lager and noodles just go really well together for me.
Yep, Sai says he loves Tiger beer. I'm pretty sure I've had it, and I'm pretty sure I liked it too.
Garlic Parmesan twists. Oh, from Buffalo Wild Wings. Oh, from Round Table.
Were they good?
I don't remember. I only got the pizza. When they were here, I was flippin' happy because I was like, oh, piece of my childhood. And I'm really glad I got to go and have pizza there again because I don't think I'll ever see it again.
Probably not. There were two places I went as a kid. Godfather's Pizza and Pizza Inn, I-N-N. I don't even know. Yeah. I remember what I loved about Godfather's. First of all, it was the first time I ever saw a personal pizza. So I get a personal pizza for myself. And I didn't know the name then, but it was Chicago style. It was deep dish. And I would always get sausage. And they put the sausage underneath a layer of cheese. And I loved it so much. That was my favorite thing. That was my favorite place to get pizza. In fact, I'm sure I drove my mom crazy because she had a membership to one of those I wouldn't call it a gym. It's one of those places where it's like, okay, ladies, let's get it together. Get on the treadmill. 1, 2, 3, 4. One of those places.
Yeah.
And I would go with her and be like, Mom, can we go to Godfather's Pizza? So they're right around the corner. Mom, I want Godfather's Pizza. And she'd be like, 1, 2, 3. I hate my child. 1, 2, 3. I'm sure I drove her crazy.
Well, I'll bet your mom kind of felt like Miller Coors feels right now.
What do you mean?
Because AB InBev is now claiming after the whole corn syrup controversy. Well, in response to the whole corn syrup controversy, now AB InBev is now pointing the finger at Miller Coors and saying, you stole our recipes for Bud Light and Michelob Ultra.
These places have been around for like, what, 50 years or something more? Why are they saying now that they stole from each other?
I'm thinking, well, because they had specific employees working for them that they think took recipes from them. Now, here's my message to AB and Bev. Dude, have you seen the craft beer industry? Okay? We don't need to have somebody steal your recipes. We've already recreated them and gotten them much better.
Oh, and we had a dog whistle for Jason Miller. Remember, he likes Miller.
Oh,
yes. He said, Miller didn't steal anything. Their recipe is better. So his home team is Miller. He's pro Miller all the way. Oh, but he says light tastes like pee. Oh, bitter. Okay. So which one does Jason like? Okay.
I thought it was a Miller beer.
I thought it was Miller too.
Because I drink Miller too. I mean, I like AB and Bev's Michelob Ultra because it's not like as filling for me. But every once in a while I'll drink Miller beers. Every once in a while. I'll do it, especially when I'm, broke.
So would you say that is that a step above Steel Reserve or a step below?
Yes. Oh, it is. So Miller beer next to Steel Reserve tastes like Craft.
Hey, I'm drinking it. It's okay. Oh, and Sai was trolling me. Sometimes I don't get it when people are being sarcastic or trolling, because Jason clearly said better, that Miller's is better, and then Sai said he means bitter. So
bitter?
He was trolling me. And Jason said Bud Light, it tastes like pee. Not Miller, Bud Light tastes like pee. And I had Bud about maybe 15 years ago, because that's all that was at a place that I was at, and it tasted like swill. It really tasted like someone had spit into it, and that was the majority of what I was tasting.
Keystone. Sigh. Keystone.
No, I don't remember that.
Prison beer?
Oh no! Oh, segue. I heard that.
Well, kind of segue.
Yellow fizzy water.
A little more news first.
Okay. Yeah, we got news.
Congratulations, America. Sam Adams has made a beer you're really gonna want.
I don't think I've ever had 28%.
A 28% beer that is banned in 15 states, including
not
Oregon.
Florida.
Including Oregon, not Florida.
Florida's cooler than Oregon.
Not only can I not get regular Sam Adams beer, I can't get the 28% either.
Are you sure it's not that it's banned, it's just that y'all don't get it?
No, it's banned. We can't unless it's a local craft brewery, we can't import 28%.
Wow. Okay. Go Florida.
Florida.
Something's right. We're still not all the way legal with marijuana. We're medicinal only, but hey, we'll let you have 28% beer.
Well, Corvallis, Oregon, you come here to watch football, drink beer, get your hair done, or get a tattoo, and that's pretty much it.
All right. And you don't need to be drunk on 28% beer if you're getting a tattoo. That's frowned upon.
It's no tattoo place here will do a tattoo or a piercing on you if you admit to having anything to drink. If they suspect you've been drinking, they'll kick your ass out the door.
That's good. Is it because it's harder to heal if you're drunk, or just because you might be making a bad decision?
Both. Mm-hmm. Both. If you've been drinking alcohol, your blood doesn't clot very well. It's thinner. So, you're taking a chance that, you're going to get a blood infection. And obviously, if you haven't thought well out, anybody who's drunk, oh, woohoo, let's go get a tattoo. No.
Bad idea.
Go sleep it off, come back tomorrow. We'll be happy to take $300 for a 2-inch tattoo.
That says Taylor Swift is my hero.
Taylor Swift.
That's what I would say. They would actually do Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift is my goddess.
Taylor Swift.
My goddess. Taylor Swift is my goddess. Like, oh, did I really get that? And then a big picture of her face.
Oh yeah, like the ones they sell in the locked cage for upwards of $200. Yes. We have some good artists here though in Corvallis. I recommend High Priestess.
Okay.
High Priestess says their policies are completely laid out, and they're very careful with their customers' health.
Good.
And
Like
I mean, I've been to them for all my piercings, so it's great.
I went for my 2 tattoos. I went to the same place.
I still have not gotten my tattoo because I have always had other priorities.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know, food, paying the rent, it just seemed to come before getting a tattoo.
It's so expensive.
It
I
is.
don't know how I did it because I remember I was broke. When I got mine, I was living on my own. And so I was paying everything by myself. I don't know how I saved the money to get a tattoo.
Wow, that's impressive. You managed to get a tattoo and be broke at the same time. That's impressive. Yeah.
Yeah.
2.
Well, maybe I did it with tax money. That sounds like.
Okay, so do you regret your tattoos or do you still like them?
I still like them. Although it's sad, I have to ask Clint to tell me what they say because I can't remember sometimes. Because one's here and one's here, and I'm like,
yeah,
okay. I don't remember.
Life lesson, boys and girls.
I can't see it. I'm like doing this thing. I'm like, I can't see.
Did it hurt? Do you remember if it hurt?
In fact, with one of them, the guy said I was the best patient he's ever had.
Really?
Yeah, I did. I mean, it hurt, but I was just like doing this thing, like just.
That's what the piercer said when I had my when I had my new piercing. She said you were just made for piercings. Like I just take a and that's it. On the breath out, they do the piercing, and you know, it was nice and smooth and really easy. It was great. I love piercings. Maybe I'll get a couple more piercings instead of a tattoo.
Yeah, I never did piercings. I've got my ears pierced, but that's it.
I don't think I could live without, if they made me take my eyebrow piercing out, because I had to take my eyebrow piercing out for a job. And for a whole year, I felt like I wasn't myself.
Yeah, you get used to something.
Yeah. So, I mean, this especially, I mean, I could live without the ones on my ears. They're nice. They're heavy. They feel good. It's a bit of a comfort thing to have heavy earrings on my ears. But the eyebrow piercing is part of me.
Okay. Yeah, I have my ears pierced. I don't wear earrings much. I like earrings. I like jewelry. Yeah. I just, when I wake up in the morning, I give myself maybe half an hour to get ready in the morning. And so I'm like barely just awake and dressed when I leave.
Yeah.
I like jewelry.
Yeah, Cybernaut, you should get a piercing. You should get a piercing when we come down there and find you a place to get a piercing.
That would be awesome. And we'll have to see it sometime. I mean, I don't know when because he never puts his picture on. We'll need just a picture of the ear or the eyebrow or whatever he gets pierced, or
unadulterated. Well, we know you're not. We know you're not an adult.
Yeah, it's not adulterated because he's not adult.
Chase says that Dutch Gold in Ireland is the cheapest of the cheap beer.
Never heard of that.
I thought Strongbow cider was the cheapest of the cheap. I guess that's cider though. It's not beer.
It's not Dutch, beer.
Dutch Gold. So we'll have to find that sometime. That might be interesting. I know.
Over here it probably wouldn't be cheap, huh?
Dutch Gold and Sturmstrang canned fish.
Okay.
You know, that really hideous canned fish that I've sworn to try at some point.
You go for it. Have at it.
There we go.
I will not be joining you with that.
Strongbow is decent cider. I don't know why people think that, I mean, maybe it changed its recipe or something. But I mean, Strongbow has always tasted like decent cider to me. I agree. Totally agree.
When I think of Strongbow, I think of it as being like the better of the ciders. Because like I always drank woodchuck over here. And I have a friend who would always say, oh no, Strongbow's the best. And Strongbow, I like it, but it's not as sweet as woodchuck. So when I think of Strongbow, I think of it as being like the better of the ciders. But that's from my perspective. Huh?
I know a couple of years ago they put out a multi-pack, but I still like the original better than all the rest of it. The only other cider, I mean, we have great cideries here, but they're really expensive. If you want like cheaper cider, then you have to go for other stuff.
I think of Woodchuck when I think of cheap cider. Huh?
That's exactly. Woodchuck is cheap cider, or Whiter's, which I have not seen. I have not seen Whiter's pear cider in a very long time because other ciders have come along to take their place.
Yeah. Huh. You haven't seen the brewery or just their pear?
No, I haven't. No, I haven't seen Whiter's like at all in a very long time.
Maybe they just scaled back their distribution.
It is very possible. I mean, trying to sell it here would be very difficult.
Yeah.
Very difficult.
I've never had Angry Orchard. I see that a lot. I see commercials for that.
Oh, I actually like Angry Orchard. I do. It is cheap, but I do like it.
I might try it sometime.
Their cinnamon apple.
I love cinnamon.
Is actually super delicious.
That sounds awesome.
I know it's major brand owned, but it's
okay.
Still tasty.
I mean, as long as you go in with open eyes and know it's major, you know, it's not a craft brewer. I mean, we can't be perfect all the time. And, you know, I don't believe in discounting something just because it's not, you know, within my range of what's acceptable or whatever. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I don't want to be closed-minded just because it's made by a bigger brewery. But speaking of cinnamon, this is somewhat off topic, but there's cinnamon Coke now, Coca-Cola.
Oh, yeah.
I had one and it's good. I like it.
Yeah, I remember that. A small amount of it came out like a couple of years ago, and I tried some of the small bits that came out, and it was pretty tasty. It was pretty tasty, but unfortunately, it like cherry Coke and other ones, it gets too sickly sweet for me.
Oh yeah, it would be too much. I wouldn't drink it all the time.
No, I can't. I can only do like once in a while.
I'd never seen it before. I guess it just hit here because Clint bought it, and I thought it was Dr. Pepper at first. And I said, "Oh, send me one of those Dr. Peppers. I like Dr. Pepper." He said, "That's not Dr. Pepper." I said, "Well, what is it?" He said, "It's cinnamon Coke." And I went, "What? This is awesome." I liked it. Like, cinnamon Coke?
Cinnamon Coke?
This is, oh my God, is this legal?
Save me some of that blasphemy.
He brought me one. I was like, "Give it to me now." Because he'd asked if I wanted anything to drink. I said, "No, I've got my coffee." And then I heard him getting a soda out, and I said, "Oh, send me one of those Dr. Peppers." And then when he said it was cinnamon Coke, I said, "Bring it now.
Bring it.
I want to
bring me the blasphemy."
And I sipped it. I was like, cinnamon.
Oh, it's pretty delicious.
It is. I love cinnamon.
Oh, I bet it would make a good mixer too.
I bet it would too. I remember the cinnamon things, the Red Hots you sent me for Fireball.
Yeah, I love those.
I love those too. And Sai said we have Julian cider. They have a tart cherry pie cider that is like cherry pie in a bottle.
Yeah, Che's reminding us the Two Town cider is really good out here.
Good.
Two Town cider is actually way up and down the western coast, and they're rapidly advancing eastward. They've expanded their distribution quite a bit.
Maybe they'll make it over here sometime.
I definitely saw it out where we were, looking for a new apartment.
Okay.
In BJ's.
Yeah, I know. Oh, was it in BJ's?
It was in BJ's, and it's in Buffalo Wild Wings. I think it's in most major places now.
I might have to go. We're so broke. I already said where I want to go for my birthday. There's a pizza place I like a lot called Mellow Mushroom. And it's not too expensive. It's a chain too, but I think it's probably just East Coast. But it's not too expensive. And I really like it. And they have good beer too. So that's what I'm going to do on my birthday. Excuse me.
Well, if you are, looking for the better of the best.
Yeah.
The 2019 Australian Craft Beer Survey results are out.
Ooh.
Which is great because I'm always interested in beer from other countries, and Australia is definitely top of the line for me when it comes to hops and interesting flavors and hikes I will never be able to take.
Yeah.
Every hike in Australia I want to take and take beer with me, it has been wiped out by fires.
Oh, that's so sad.
Yes.
I'm starting to see a pattern here. Maybe you better not be thinking about places in Australia. Yeah. Don't think about Sydney. Don't think about Sydney. Oh man.
Apparently, just like America, preference for cans has overtaken bottles.
I like cans too.
Awareness of the independent label has grown steadily. So it's great. It's not just here in America. The independent label has grown. So we are now developing a better standard for the beer industry than just quote unquote craft.
That's good.
More craft beer. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say I see a little whatever I'm trying to say, a little graphic here. What the term independent beer means. 78% said made by an independent brewery. Wait, this isn't adding up. 48% is crafted, not manufactured. I don't know how all that's way more than 100%. I don't understand what I'm reading.
Medium influence, try to buy beer with I think that's just percentage of population or percentage of people interviewed, maybe people surveyed. Survey says
that's way more than 100%.
9% only buy beer with the seal.
I was looking at the graph underneath that. Okay. Large influence only buy beer with this seal, 9%. Medium influence try to buy beer with this seal, 49%. Small influence, 23%. No influence, 19%. Now, what does that graphic under it mean? That's what I was reading. I don't know what
the term independent beer means. I think you could actually. I think you can. I think you can label it more than one of those. So 78% of those surveyed says independent beer is made by an independent brewery. 48% said it's crafted, not manufactured. Those numbers are not supposed to add up to 100% because people can pick more than one thing.
Oh, okay. That was confusing me. Okay. Oh,
crafted, not manufactured.
Okay, that like handmade. I guess made in small batches, maybe.
Yeah, that's a little confusing. Made by a small brewery is next. Australian made owned, but see, we have the independent label here too.
Yeah.
Supports small business, is a better quality beer made by a brewery in my local area.
Not always. That independent beer doesn't always mean it's local.
Has more flavor, more variety in the beer produced, more expensive.
So. Depends.
Brewed using traditional methods.
Not always.
Has interesting packaging and design.
Usually.
Made by a global brewery.
Probably not.
I don't know of any independent breweries that are global yet. Doesn't mean it hasn't happened. I just don't.
Well, and it depends on what you consider independent, because a lot of the imports we get from Europe, well, they're independent. They may not be owned by a conglomeration. You may not call them craft because they have a global presence, but they could still be independent. those really craft and independent are two different words, two different meanings.
Yeah, but global and international are two different things too.
Oh, what do you think the difference is?
International means that they have agreements with just, like one or two countries. Global means you have a global presence. Wherever you go, your advertising will take effect.
Yeah.
New Zealand hops are bomb. It means your bottle is upside down. Funny.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm sorry. I got a little distracted because I was typing in a chat. I thought I was in the Beery Good chat, but I was in the Scannerdrome chat.
Oh.
I got really confused.
So if you want to see a lot of the results from this craft beer survey, from this Australian craft beer survey, you can go to beercartel.com. And I will also make sure that these survey results get out on our Twitter as well, which I will do immediately. There we go.
Immediately.
Yay! At Beery GE. Yay!
We should talk about, I know we haven't started our topic for tonight yet, but next Politics and Controversy show, we should talk about what Jason's talking about. He just put in our chat, in Scannerdrome's chat, about the new rules for freelance and contract workers. And yeah, and
that would be interesting. That would be very interesting. Yeah.
He posted an article from the Hollywood Reporter, says everybody's freaking out. Freelance writers scramble to make sense of new California law. It sounds like one of those cases where maybe the politicians think they're doing a good thing, but they're really just tying everyone's hands.
Yeah, that'd definitely take some inspection. That's a good topic.
Yeah, I think that's what we should do for our next politics show.
That's a good topic. Mm-hmm. Well, buy craft beer or go to jail? No?
I don't want to go to jail.
Well, in the wake of the announcement to close Rikers Island, which I totally approve of, in New York, many questions are arising about who we are imprisoning and how we are punishing those who break the law. Small bit of background. From the 1550s, royal palace buildings were converted to workhouses in England. In the 1680s, the Quakers began campaigning against the death penalty in the United States. After the Revolution, the United States began rethinking what punishment meant. Reformers asked whether the same harsh punishment for theft as for murder was reasonable. Because after all, if it's the same for murder, then if you steal something, why not just kill them to make sure that there are no witnesses to your crime? After 1768, the penalty for lesser crimes such as robbery, burglary, and sodomy was increasingly eliminated. Jefferson even attempted to do away with the death penalty for all but treason and murder. His measure failed by a single vote. Even by 1820, prisons continued the ineffective. Even by 1820, prisons continued to be ineffective with increasing crowding, while taxpayers were unwilling to fund any comfort for criminals. In 1852, San Quentin became the very first privately owned for-profit prison. The 1980s saw a surge in private for-profit prisons, and today we face more overcrowding as for-profit prisons increasingly lobby for more people to be imprisoned, except for expensive prisoners that they can deny. Prisoners are increasingly denied medical or humane treatment. Do you agree with all of that? Is that...
Well, I think we need to treat people humanely. I think we need to be better than whatever offense got them in there. I think they're still humans. I don't think we should call them by numbers. I think we should call them by names. And they're still people. We put them in prison, supposedly to get them out of society, but that doesn't mean we need to treat them like inhumans, less than humans. And with the rate that people are wrongly convicted, I think we really need to be careful how we treat people in prison, because there's a good chance some of those aren't supposed to be there. And we need to treat everyone better than what maybe they might have treated other people.
So, do you think that prison as a punishment, removing freedom from somebody, actually works?
I don't know if it works. I mean, obviously people are can't say the word. They go back to doing crime. Some people.
Recidivism.
Recidivism. Yes, thank you. I was like revitive. Yeah. I've never said the word. I've seen it. Recidivism.
Recidivism.
Recidivism. So obviously that's there. It does happen. I mean, in some cases, it's all we can do. If someone is a harm to other people, then we remove them from society. And
that seems reasonable to me.
Yeah.
If somebody is so dangerous that they insist upon harming people, actually removing them from society seems like a reasonable thing to do.
Yeah, seems like the only thing we can do. Now, I do not believe that the death penalty is appropriate.
In any circumstance?
Really, no. I mean, my gut will tell me sometimes, oh, that person is so evil, they need to die. But logically, when I think about it, I don't think any of us have that right. I really don't. We would just be using the same thing that we're condemning those people for. What's the difference between us murdering someone and them murdering someone? Murder. You're taking someone's life. And I think it's gruesome. I really do. You're choosing when that person dies. And that's not your choice to make. I really don't like it. I think it's wrong.
I agree with that. And we have seen cases in which we have put people to death, and there was always the possibility for an appeal because of new evidence.
Well, and people are being exonerated now because of DNA. And, you know, there's so much of a chance that that person could truly be innocent. I would rather err on the side of caution than make such a grave mistake that you can't take back.
Okay, now for a far more difficult question.
Yeah.
Do you think children should be imprisoned? Is there any circumstance in which you think a child would qualify for imprisonment?
Not for adult prison. I remember there was a case, I think here in Florida, where a 14-year-old boy supposedly murdered, I don't remember who he supposedly murdered. He supposedly murdered somebody, and they tried him as an adult. No, 14 is 14. No. I mean, you're too young. You are not developed. You are not able to think as an adult. No. There's a reason we have juvenile detention versus adult jail. I think maybe if you want to think about trying someone as an adult, I would say maybe 16 might qualify, maybe 17, maybe. I mean, you could make an argument that someone is developed by then. But I don't know. I mean, if we can't let someone have alcohol, then should we try them as an adult? They're not adult enough to have alcohol, but we're saying that they can be responsible for their actions otherwise. I mean, maybe it should be 21. Although I honestly believe that the drinking limit should be 18. I say 18 across the board. 18 to be tried as an adult, 18 to drink, 18 for all of it.
Well, I know just this month, justices agreed to hear arguments against, for the DC sniper case to decide whether Malvo should be resentenced. He was 17 at the time of the shooting and received life without parole. So they're checking to see, you know, whether life without parole was actually reasonable in this case.
My gut reaction is no.
There are some children and juveniles that do things like the DC sniper case that are truly horrific. Yeah. Whether they actually understood those actions when they took them is entirely up for debate. I mean, environment is a huge part of
they could be victims as much as any. I mean, they could be victims and criminals at the same time. Maybe they're victims of abuse at home.
Unfortunately, our prison system is not a place where real rehabilitation can be accomplished. Mm-hmm. There's no access to the outside world to see how the outside world is developing. If you go from 10 years inside a prison and walk out to the outside, you are very much at risk of reoffending because you have no idea how this brand new world works.
Not only that, but you don't have that many options. How many people are going to hire a felon? Really, honestly.
Yes. And even if you're a juvenile with a sealed case, people will still know that you have been sentenced, and they're still going to be wary of interacting with you. If a community sees you come out of a halfway house, mm-hmm. how much chance do you have?
Not much.
For upward mobility. It takes the strongest of the strong in order to push their way past that. Mm-hmm. It looks like we almost need a whole brand new system just for juveniles.
Yeah.
That include a realistic type of care and a realistic type of rehabilitation. But I don't know how we're going to accomplish that if we can't even get everybody health care.
Yeah. I hope they have programs to help them integrate into the world. Because think about the basic things. They've never held a job. They have no idea, got to clock in on time. Don't piss off the boss. Things that we know just because we've lived in the world, but they don't know any of that. They may not understand. They might be drug tested. So don't do crap. They just don't have those basic world experiences like we may. So they're just at a huge disadvantage.
And I understand there are some children, even young children. I have heard of young children actually killing family members. I understand some of these children may never be able to come out into society without being a danger to other people. But surely there is a place where they can live life that is far more comfortable than our current prison system.
Well, and you brought up a good point. Something you said earlier made me think about, like, I say 18, but then I remember cases like school shootings. The I don't want to say kids, the individuals who perpetrate school shootings. They're not innocent. They're just not. Now, they may have had challenges in life, come from a background that really just turned them crooked. And so in some of those cases, they were probably set up to fail by their parents, by something in their environment. So that does need to be taken into consideration. But if someone does a school shooting, yeah, they're not a child anymore. And so that really put a wrinkle in what I just said about 18. I don't know. Those are different cases. I don't know.
Now, Rikers Island, I've actually forgot to look and see if Rikers Island was privately owned.
And I know of Rikers because of two shows. There was a show called The Night Of, which I really liked, which is actually very akin to what we're talking about. Someone who was most likely wrongly accused and sentenced, and he was at Rikers. And I think Mr. Robot, I think Elliot was at Rikers. I could be wrong about that. Jason might know. Was Elliot at Rikers? And we do have some comments. Sai says, did you know the 3 strikes rule applies to crimes on the same day? No, I didn't know that.
No, I didn't know that either.
You happen to have a very bad day and commit 3 separate felonies in the same day, you're tied to an outcome of 25 to life. Doesn't matter if you're 15 or 50 with no previous convictions. So that's kind of messed up. That sounds like you're trapping people. So if you do one big thing with 3 different crimes inside of it, that's the 3 strikes.
That seems very much like it's taking advantage of the private prison system.
Yeah.
Now it took until what was it, 2016 before the government actually took a stand against solitary confinement of children and juveniles. Yeah. And even that was tied to the fact that they wanted these children between these ages shoveled into the private prison system. And I would swear Rikers Island was privately owned, because they shoveled kids in there by the handful, especially children from families of color.
And that is who tends to get incarcerated more than anyone else. And if you look at the race of who's actually committing crimes, it evens out a little bit. But the people who get caught and get incarcerated heavily lean towards people of color.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can speculate as to why. It does seem like they're targeted sometimes more than other people.
Now, luckily, California has decided to shut down its for-profit prison system. That includes immigrant detention centers. All of them should be shut down by 2028.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they're going to attempt to reshuffle the system or whether they're actually going to build new prisons. Did Newsom do a good thing in this? Or is it just going to make things more complicated in the end?
Well, that's an interesting question. I mean, my gut is that private prisons are a bad thing, because anytime anyone profits off of people being incarcerated, you're looking for abuse. Now, I don't know the specifics of what you're talking about. So, I mean, there may be reasons why this isn't good. I haven't read the article yet. I apologize. But you tell me, are there reasons you think this may not be a great thing?
Well, they do have people in the private prison system who are ineligible to be transferred to certain other types of prisons. If they're ineligible to be transferred to a different type of prison and the prison shuts down, those prisoners can be re-released. If they are violent prisoners, then we have the system scrambling to try to re-arrest these people to get them back into the system. So it becomes very confusing. And I agree, the for-profit prison system is horrendous, because what they want is a constant stream of people in and out. So they don't want education. They don't want prisoners having access to, anything from the outside, including books, magazines, news, family members. There are frequently rules against even common things like masturbation. Look,
come on, people.
That's you can reasonably ask them not to have sex.
Yeah.
In prison.
Yeah.
But requiring people not to masturbate?
How can you do that?
Are you out of your mind? I mean, come on.
Right. I mean, I understand they only get like 2 minutes, if that, in the shower. So it's kind of a no-go in the shower. But if they're in their bunk, how would anyone even know?
Yeah, I mean, it's punishing people for that is like punishing them for being human.
Well, and that's unfortunately how it seems. I mean, there's the idea that they're no longer human because they've done crimes supposedly and they've been incarcerated. They're wards of the state and they're not human. They don't have their rights anymore. And when they get out, they don't have a lot of their rights either. It's very dehumanizing.
It is very dehumanizing. I don't like the for-profit prison system at all. I'm just not sure how the whole shutdown of the system is going to work.
They need to be very careful about it.
Yes. Mr. Newsom, please be very careful.
And the government's always careful about things. We know that.
Yeah, very careful.
Well, Cy has some comments. I had to shut down my laptop because the battery ran out. But Cy has some comments.
They want inmates because that's money. Very true.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Just describe boot camp.
Yep. But you choose to go there, at least now. Maybe not in Vietnam, but now.
Here's at the end of your stay in boot camp, okay, usually, it was my experience, somebody pats you on the back and says, good job, you made it.
Uh-huh.
At the end of your stay in a for-profit prison, you walk to the door and the guard looks at you and says, you'll be back.
That's horrible. That's so... God.
I have hardly ever talked to anybody who has been in an actual prison who has received a message other than, we'll see you again.
And see, that's you make the reality. And if you tell someone that, they're going to take that to heart. Words matter. I mean, I know we're not supposed to think of words like that, sticks and stones and all that, but words do matter. I mean, I've had my life derailed by a comment from a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And, I know I shouldn't. People say, you should be stronger than that. Well, I'm not. I'm not secure in myself. I never have been. And so words do matter. And these people obviously aren't secure in themselves. And yeah.
Being a prisoner, you are incredibly vulnerable.
Uh-huh.
Again, I don't think, I think very violent prisoners, prisoners who are, if you
continually act out.
Yeah, continually act out and show absolutely no remorse whatsoever.
Right.
Look, taking reasonable precautions with those type of people, that's probably reasonable.
Yeah.
If however you're dealing with a person who just screwed up.
Yeah.
Okay. Flipped my nut, picked up a gun, shot my buddy in the leg because I was drunk and pissed off.
Yeah.
I don't think that calls for solitary confinement, beatings, continual harassment.
No.
I think that calls for, look, you're never going to legally hold a gun again.
And that's okay.
You're going to have to take all these classes and why you did what was wrong.
Right. Yeah.
And being shown a pathway to get out of the system.
Right.
You need to be shown that, look, there is a pathway here. You follow the pathway, and exactly like boot camp, you're going to get out, and there's your job on the outside. And if you keep doing this and this and this, it'll be okay.
Yeah.
But that's not what we're telling prisoners. That's not what we're showing prisoners right now. prisoners don't have any hope. They don't care anymore, especially in the for-profit prison system. And that is entirely wrong. Mm-hmm. Having said that, I've never been in prison.
Me neither. And I hope to God I never go.
Never been in prison. I've never been arrested.
Me neither.
Have been talked to by the police.
Me too. And it scared the shit out of me. And all I was doing was trying to walk to work. That's all I was doing. And I'm sorry, the car accident got in the way of my work. Yeah. I was trying to walk to work, and there was a car accident, a very bad car accident in the street, and they had cordoned off the street, but they hadn't cordoned off the sidewalk. And so I was just walking because I was 2 blocks away from work, and there was no other way to go. And one cop stopped me and said, okay. I said, I'm just going to work. He said, okay, we'll just stay away from the wreck. And I was like, okay. And I walked around the wreck. I wasn't looking at the wreck. I walked around as close to the other side of the sidewalk as I could. And then another cop stopped me and he said, where are you going? What are you doing? I said, I'm just trying to walk to work. Well, you need to get out of here. You don't need to be looking at this. Why are you here? You need to get out of here. I can't get out of here. I'm on the sidewalk. I'm trying to walk to work. Do you want me to put you in the back of the car? Because I will. I'll put you in the back of the car. I said, I'm just trying to walk to work. And I could have been arrested that day because I got upset and I was pushing back at him, like not literally pushing back, but just like I'm trying to get to work, just getting upset. And I could have been arrested that day. And I was so freaked out. That was like 10 years ago. And when the cops come by, I just look the other way. I don't want to have anything to do with anyone in that type of uniform because it really upset me so much.
And I think that's 99% of the people in the United States look at what we now call law enforcement. They used to be community service. It used to be community service. And the difference between the way we view what used to be community service now and what we used to view, earlier, wow, 2 totally different things. When I was a kid, I had no problem with police officers. Mm-hmm. It really wasn't a problem. Now, I will go out of my way to avoid them, just like you.
Mm-hmm. It shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be that way. They're supposed to be there to protect us.
Yeah.
And not scare the ever-living shit out of us or arrest us for no reason or shoot us when we're sitting in our own house.
Oh, now here's a question for Cybernaut.
Yeah. What? Tell us.
So, Cybernaut, do you think that the military is a viable option for people instead of prison?
That's a good question for him.
Oh yeah, it's
well, I guess we can't really just wait for him to answer.
On track for MIT. Yeah, he was on track to MIT and a commission in the Marines, and one night of stupidity forced him to be enlisted instead of officer. Yeah, that really does. It immediately limits your.
Well, imagine you can't options. Have a high security clearance, right, Cybernaut?
Yeah, well, it doesn't. I don't think it really affects your security clearance. But if you're an officer, you're supposed to be "quote unquote" better than everybody else. So you're not. If you have an arrest record, you're really not. You're not eligible for a leadership role.
Yeah, which sucks because we see plenty of so-called leaders who do horrible things.
Yes. Yes.
So basically the lesson is don't get caught until you're in a high position and then you'll probably be okay, which is a horrible lesson.
That is true. Now, here's a recent situation that happened right here in Corvallis. An OSU student was purportedly riding her bike on the wrong side of the street.
Oh.
Now I do know the street. It's a smaller street, but it is, if you're riding on the wrong side of the road in the road, it could endanger people.
It is a bad idea.
So the police officer approached and attempted to cite her, attempted to fine her for riding on the wrong side of the street. But when he asked for identification, she refused to give it and became belligerent.
Oh dear, that's never a good start.
So he arrested her.
Yeah.
Now it's turned into a huge situation of improper use of force, and whether the actual police force had the right to use that force. Is that an appropriate situation for force? I mean, to arrest somebody for not having caused an accident, just riding on the wrong side of the street, and refusing to give somebody their identifying information.
Well, that reminds me of what happened with me. I wasn't doing anything wrong.
Yeah.
But the police person, I won't even call him an officer, I won't dignify him with that. The person started off belligerent to me, and I went to belligerent because I was pissed.
Yeah.
And he threatened to put me in the back of his vehicle, and he could have. It would have been wrong, but he still could have done it. And so, I mean, it's that thing where they're allowed to be belligerent, they're allowed to start crap, but if you respond in kind, you get arrested. So the only response you can do that won't end up with you arrested or dead is to freeze. And even then you might end up dead, but yeah, the only thing you can do when approached by a police officer is that.
Yeah.
That's the only response we have that will keep us alive and out of jail.
Well, I understand in this case, I understand the officer's frustration.
Yeah.
He needed to make sure this individual understood the seriousness of riding their bike on the wrong side of the street and endangering people. But actually getting to the point where they arrested her was an escalation of the situation, not a de-escalation.
They're supposed to de-escalate. They're the ones with the training, not the citizens.
So I'm thinking it should have been a case where they should have acted like they had all the time in the world.
Yeah.
And just, kept on asking instead of attempting to force the situation, in which another officer had to, be called in, and they wound up, physically arresting her. That's where it all blew up. If there is patience involved in the situation, or even an ability to say, look, this is not a good idea, just move over to the other side of the road and we'll call it all good. Maybe that. Follow them, although that might be considered harassment.
Now, let me ask a question. If this was a bicycle?
This was a bicyclist.
He asked for identification. You're not required to carry your identification if you're just riding a bicycle.
No, but you are required, if you break the law, you are required to tell the officer who you are.
Okay, because the article says, "Give me your identification."
Yes, they were now they know. For some reason, they knew she was an OSU student. I don't know how they knew that or whether that came up afterwards, but she should have told them, who she was, so he could write out the citation and give it to her.
Okay.
That might have solved the problem right there. Now, if she kept on riding on the wrong side of the road, he might have had a case. He might have had, this is an enormously dangerous situation. I need to get her off the road. But he escalated it And I don't think this is a case where punishment by the officer is an appropriate reaction.
I'm glad they reported this shit. I'm reading this. It's not okay. I mean, if this played out the way this article reads,
I haven't seen the body cam footage. I haven't seen the people who actually did their phone footage or anything like that. But it does appear to me to be an escalated use of force, which was uncalled for, unless this person was immediately endangering people. Now, 9th Street and, like 99, these are hugely busy places where I wish more bicyclists that rode on the wrong side in the bicycle lane or wrong side in traffic. I wish those people would be taken off the road.
You know what, though? I'm going to counter that, because if she's in the bicycle lane, I was taught as a child to face traffic when on a bicycle, so you can see what's coming, so you're not hit. I feel more comfortable.
Everybody here is taught you have to go with traffic. If you're in the bicycle lane going the wrong way, you're endangering everybody in the bicycle lane.
Well, we didn't have bicycle lanes when I was growing up, but just like being on a residential street, I would be on the side toward the sidewalk, but I would be facing traffic so I could see what was coming and get out of the way.
We can't do that here because we have too much traffic.
Okay.
It is, there are specific questions, tests.
Yeah.
Goals.
Okay.
You have to give them so much room, and when you see a specific symbol in the road, you understand that bicycles are sharing the same space the cars are.
Yeah.
Give them that space going the same way. And in certain parts of the city, go up onto the sidewalk going the wrong way. There are even rules for that. Bicyclist had been on the sidewalk where she was going the wrong way, it would have been okay. On the road.
Was this a major street, or was it more of a residential street?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. I'm not sure where exactly on 16th.
It looks like a residential street. I'm looking at the video. That's a residential street.
Residential street, then this really was way out of line. I mean, all they had to do was just tell her to move over.
I'm playing the video, and it's actually a small street, and there are people parked on either side, so you can't even really tell what side of the street is what. It's a narrow street.
Now I know for sure that 16th is not part of downtown. So she could have ridden on the sidewalk if she'd felt uncomfortable. Well, but all he had to do was ask her, look, please don't ride against traffic. Move over to the other side.
Just tell her, look, that's not okay.
It'll be a lot safer. But I feel like the situation was escalated, and I think this is happening more and more with situations that don't need to be escalated. No. Children especially. Yeah. I mean what was it, 2-3 years ago? The teenager in a bikini in front of the school. Where, and I can't remember where it was, thrown to the ground by an officer.
Not okay.
No, that's not okay. It is not okay. It seems like police officers are losing their patience a whole lot more.
Some of them are bullies.
Yeah, and it's not helping that the way they consider themselves is law enforcement instead of community service.
Yeah.
And I say this a lot because there is a difference between law enforcement and community service. Your biggest job as an officer is to protect the public, not to harass it. And the term law enforcement just doesn't help. Sure, I mean, giving out tickets in specific instances are, it's the best way to try to keep people from doing things again. But in a lot of cases, just telling someone, look, you kind of need to knock it off.
Yeah.
Is fine.
Yeah. Just give a warning.
Yeah.
This guy, this person just took it to a whole bad level.
Yeah, they took it to a whole new level, and that is not what we need, especially in a smaller community like Corvallis. That is not what we need.
From someone who's probably 19, maybe.
Yeah.
A young person. And this says, the article says, Oregon State University, after school officials reviewed the witness videos and officer body camera footage, said in a statement, "We remain concerned about what was portrayed occurring in the video. We have asked that law enforcement policies and practices by Oregon State Police and other local law enforcement agencies be examined for evidence of implicit and explicit bias. And going forward, we ask law enforcement authorities to de-escalate situations involving OSU students." So they very clearly disapprove of what happened on that video.
Yeah, which is good.
Yeah,
that's good. I mean, there are cases in which police officers need to be a lot more firm. We have had violent cases here. We've had people taking guns and, invading people's homes.
Yeah.
We've had, fraternities that have engaged in seriously bad behavior. But even at that, I mean, de-escalation is called for that too.
Right.
Making it a point where it's an arrest or nothing is never a good idea. Never, ever.
Yeah, and Sai is saying his grandfather was chief of police. The stories of his exploits colors his view of what policing should be. So I'm asking him, how so? What stories and how does it color his view? Huh?
I'm going to take just one moment and use the facilities. And I'll be right back. I'll be right back with a
brand. And you're former Navy, so I believe it'll be a moment.
And I'll be right back with a brand new beer.
If I had to go to the bathroom, it's 15 minutes. For number one, 15 minutes. And before you ask, I've been tested. I just, they did the x-ray or whatever, and they didn't see any extra fluid in there. And I said, well, that's because when I sit up from the toilet, it comes out. So it's coming out one way or another before I get to where they do the radiological exam or whatever. So, you know what, I'm done. I tried to bring it to my doctor's attention. It got shoved aside, and I'll just live with it. It takes me 15 minutes to pee. And that is a life lesson from Lola. This is what happens when you leave me alone to talk. But so I made a good point. He was talking about Orange is the New Black, and that show, even though I stopped watching it toward the end, it really did bring a lot of this stuff to light for me. And one of the things that I want to talk about is the case with I've forgotten her name, but the character who got arrested for smoking pot in New York. Are you back?
I am back.
I barely got a paragraph out. That's good though, because I started off talking about my pee habits. So anyway,
my brand new beer is not really brand new, and it's only available until October 31st. So
my birthday.
Got 10 more days to go get this. It's McMenamin's Black Widow Porter.
Interesting. What kind of beer is that?
It's a deep, rich, malty porter. Secret ingredient.
Love.
licorice.
Ooh, now, funnily enough, I don't always like black licorice. Huh?
Glass. I want a new glass.
Oh.
Clean and fresh.
Interesting.
Hold the can. I love porters, and I love this beer. This is 7.2%.
That's good.
Created at McMenamin's Thompson Brewery in 1991. It has roasted grains, and it says wisps of caramel and licorice. This sucker's got plenty of roasted grains, and it does not have it has a generous amount of licorice, at least this year.
That could be good.
The cans and draft are two totally different ones. This is the cans are brewed at Edgefield, but if you go to other specific McMenamins that have their own breweries, they brew their own.
Okay, so it'll have a slightly different taste.
It could have a slightly different taste to it. Commend the Corvallis McMenamins because Cody is the second awesomest brewer in the entire universe.
Now, who's the first awesome? You? Are you the first awesome?
I am the best brewer in the entire universe.
Best brewer in the entire universe. Exactly.
For me, I'm the best brewer for me because I know my own taste.
Well, you know your own taste, and you know exactly what you want. And if you do something wrong, you can only complain to yourself.
Yeah, thick,
is it good?
Rich, sweet. Black licorice. You're going to be so happy with this. It is very, very roasty, very delicious than the normal porter, but you know you're getting something special.
Good. That's all you ever want. Slightly thicker, but you know you're getting something special. Right. That's my motto.
But you know you're getting something special.
All right, I need to have stickers made of that. I need t-shirts. I need the yoga pants with that on the butt.
Oh, slightly thicker, but you know you're getting something special. Oh my God, I want that.
I do too. We're gonna make that. I don't know, the Zaza or whatever. I don't remember how you.
So we'll make those. I don't know. I have no idea.
We need to find out.
Embroidered or something.
You know, T embroiders. Our friend T, yeah. Yeah, we'll have to ask him. Maybe he'll do that for us. That sounds awesome. Okay.
I'd be willing to pay T for that.
I would too. I mean, I'm broke right now, but when I have more money, I would certainly be willing. Okay, he might make one for himself.
Slightly more than a pinch, but less than a handful. A handful, Cy.
Yeah. He was asking, he said, he'd hate to see that in a recipe. He said, how much is a wisp of an ingredient?
Wisp.
Yeah.
It's like a sniff.
Okay. Very scientific. Wait, now sniff is, that could be a lot.
Snort.
Oh, that's a snort? So sniff is like.
Sniff is like, you know, your lightly scented flower.
Now we all look like we're doing cocaine. We're going to get arrested.
Which brings us to our next.
Well, before we move on.
Okay, before we move on.
Cybernaut explained about his grandfather. Yep, his grandfather was the sheriff, or chief of police, excuse me. And he said he had some watermelons stolen from his garden. He tracked the perpetrator downtown, and instead of, you know, putting him down to the ground and beating him and arresting him and humiliating him and all that stuff, he just wanted to know where the seeds were. His interest was in evolving.
Gotta make more, yeah.
Yeah, he wants more crops, not who stole the melons. So he didn't go all crazy like, you're going to jail, you're going down, son, you stole my watermelon seeds. He just wanted the seeds back. I like that. And that was the chief of police. Go grandfather Cybernaut. Grandpappy Cy. Yeah, he's got it going on.
Son,
It's all about the seeds. We just want the
there we go. Back. Their size T-shirt. Son.
Man, seeds, son. I like that. It's all about the seeds. Just want your seeds back, and that's okay.
The size says tomorrow's headline: McMenamin's beer found in 90% of all U.S. currency.
I don't get that, but I like it.
Maybe as 90% of U.S. currency. There we go.
Okay. I still don't get it.
If everybody in Oregon went and bought one 6-pack, they'd run out.
That's true. So buy McMenamins because it's good. It's good. Fun.
It is very good.
And it's thick. Wait, what is it? It's a little thick, but I've already forgotten. We'll have to go back and listen so we can get our catchphrase. Oh, he said, he took it to a dark place. He said because cocaine is found in 90% of all U.S. currency. Or so the internet.
That is true.
Is it?
True. I don't have my wallet here, but yeah, I can guarantee you if you have like 10 bills, at least 5 to 7 of them will have cocaine on them.
Wow. That sounds like a setup waiting to happen. If someone has cash and they're pulled over by a cop and, I don't know, a dog sniffs their cash or something, that sounds like a setup waiting to happen. So you're telling me I need to go and put my bills in the washing machine and maybe... That
would be a bad idea because then you're laundering money.
Oh, no. I know. Well, you know, I would rather it be in the laundry than in my money. I don't want anyone claiming that I have any sort of illicit drugs.
Well, I don't want illicit drugs. I mean, I just want legal drugs. Which leads to our next topic.
Is that what I was talking about?
Punishment for, well, you were specifically talking about happens to people in prison for marijuana possession since it's become decriminalized in some locations.
And what got me thinking about this, and Cybernaut is right with me because we both watched Orange is the New Black. There's a character that I really liked. I'm blanking on her name right now. But she was such a cute young lady, And you learned her backstory. She wasn't a criminal. She wasn't. She was an army brat. She lived in Germany. She spoke fluent German. She had a German girlfriend. And she came back to the U.S. And my thought is, since she lived so long in Europe, maybe she didn't have a great idea of what the laws were for marijuana here. That's possible. Maybe no one had told her you're not supposed to smoke that crap in public. But the whole reason she was incarcerated was because she went out. She had just gotten back to New York from Europe. And she went to a pier, which happened to be, I don't remember if it was a city pier or a federal government pier, but it was a government pier. And she smoked a joint. And she got caught. And she ended up in prison for years and years and years. And it did not end well for her. And I loved that character. And I stopped watching soon after what happened to her happened because I love that character so much. So that always got me thinking, well, now it's legal. It's legal in New York now. What would happen to her? Would she be let go? Well, it turns out it's not an automatic thing, at least not in some places. In some municipalities, they're trying to make it an automatic thing. In fact, one tech company developed an algorithm to identify what arrests or what convictions were based on marijuana use, marijuana obtainment or whatever, and automatically absolve those people. That, I think that's in LA, I think. Let me see. Hold on.
For a second because I'm having some sound issues and I'm going to need to switch to a different form of Discord. So just keep going and I'll move on to fix my problem.
Okay. All right. So right now, completely legalized marijuana. Some have legalized for medicinal use. And some states, it depends on what area you're in, honestly. But even the states where it's completely legal, it's not guaranteed that your record will be expunged. You have to actually have to apply, and it's not always easy. Now, there is one place where they do have an algorithm, and they are trying to make it automatic. Can't quite remember which one. I have all these stories that I put on here. I can't remember which one that is. But in Denver, they actually make you apply, and it's not quite so easy. For one thing, it has to be in Denver. Denver, they won't Denver. It says this article, I'm going to put this in at where the chat. And Linda, we're having some comments in Twitch. Okay.
I know.
This particular article, what's the next Xfinity ad? Hold on.
Hang on a sec. Is
all right? This article
from the Denver
Post says of 17,000 people eligible, only 71 people have cleared the records in Denver and Boulder. Says less than 1% of more than 13,000 eligible for expungement. In Boulder, 11 people have cleared the record of the 4,000 people eligible. And this is 7 years after legalization and 2 years after state lawmakers passed a bill allowing expungement. Well, they shouldn't have to pass allow. It should be a law. It should be just done because it's not illegal anymore. They just should be expunged, but whatever. It says city leaders and prosecutors are struggling to guide people through a complex process to raise minor pot convictions.
Now, so Oregon had
for someone to go through this process, and a lot of people don't have time or money, especially if this conviction, made your life way more difficult.
Oregon had to. Can you hear me?
Oh, no, I'm not going to try to read this whole article. That was Denver. Let me look at the notes again. Okay, Los Angeles Times.
Lola, can you hear me?
This is actually from 2018, just about a year ago. I'm going to put this in the notes. Okay, pot legalization campaigns across the U.S. aim to throw out old convictions. And this is in Oakland, California. It says Rob Jenkins tried for 4 years to find a job. Oh, this guy, he was actually convicted for growing pot, and now he's been working in legal pot refineries, whatever they're called. He said he got a job, a mate's position at a Chevron refinery, and then he was a counselor for foster kids. Uh-oh. I don't know if I'm being heard or if she can hear me.
Lola, can you hear me?
Hold on, I'm not sure if I'm still here or not.
Uh-oh.
I can't hear. Not at all.
Can't hear it. You can't hear. Oh.
So I can hear Linda. I can't hear.
I think Cybernaut can hear me, but you can't. You can. Yeah. Okay. So Cy can hear me, but you can't. I don't know.
I'm still plugged in. Ow!
Just needs to reconnect the call.
Yeah, my headphone's still plugged in.
You might have been using it on her end or something.
Cybernaut will relay our conversation. Okay, Cyber. What's Linda saying?
Down, look down on the
Linda, what did you say?
Down.
We do have an internal chat. I know. It's just hard for me to get to. Where is the internal chat? I don't know how to get to the internal chat. I'm confused.
It's down below the picture.
There's an internal chat somewhere. I just don't remember where it is. Down below the picture. Oh, I forgot. I'm still looking at the public facing Twitch channel. I'm a little confused. I don't know how to get back to. I don't know where did Discord go? Did I lose? Where did Discord go? I can't find Discord. I lost Discord. How did I lose Discord?
Well, I know here in
Hold on. Discord's on another place. I'm very confused. What's happening? I need more alcohol. All right.
Okay, there we go. I know here in Oregon.
Okay.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? You can't hear me?
Can't hear you.
You can't. Well, that is definitely on your end.
Oh, no. Can't hear you. But Sai can hear me.
We have no video from Lola either.
I have no video? I didn't do anything.
Check your video.
Video did get turned off. I didn't do anything, but somehow it got turned off. Okay, let me go back to audio. I didn't touch anything. I swear, I didn't touch anything. I'd even forgotten that I wasn't looking. I was looking at Twitch. I wasn't looking at Discord anymore. Everything's still the same.
We're not laughing at us. That's hilarious.
But Sai can hear me? If Sai can hear me, then it's picking me up. I mean, it can't be anything on my I mean, it's picking me up.
Disconnect and reconnect.
She just did.
I can't hear you.
It's only since I did changed over to, but Cybernaut can hear me.
Yeah, it's just that you're not.
Okay.
You there? Can you hear?
Now I hear stuff.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
My app died.
Well, maybe it was on my end, because I had to think about
it. This is the browser. My app just closed.
So reopen it.
Okay, but she couldn't hear me. I'm sorry, I don't know what else to do. On one thing, she can't hear me. On another, I'm just getting a little clipping. There's... I don't know how to fix it.
Well, I can hear
I'm just...
you now.
Okay, well... Again, we actually had to law hack people's records.
We're getting every second word, okay?
Okay, I don't, I'm sorry, Chill,
I hear you fine. I hear you fine.
It's not recording. I'm when it records, it's only catching 1 out of every 2 syllables for me. I'm going to try the app one more time.
Okay. Just because I couldn't hear, Sai, you could hear both of us, but it could still be something with my system because I couldn't hear her. But I just restarted a few times and I could hear her.
Okay.
Okay, I can hear you. Yes.
You can hear me now? Okay.
Yes.
That's good. All right, let's try this again.
Okay.
Here in Oregon, we actually had to create a law that went back and expunged minor possession convictions.
Good.
It was difficult. Now, we didn't have to vote on it or anything. It was just something that our legislature went and did because they decided to be a good idea, and it did get a lot of people out of jail for minor possession.
Yes. And it also helped people already out, probably helped them get jobs and be able to go to school and go to the military or whatever.
Now, I don't think, unless you are somebody who is doing large scale drug offenses, like
drug running or
I don't know why, but somebody decided to put thousands of pounds of marijuana in jalapenos and transport them from Mexico.
That's gonna be some hot marijuana. Hot in the criminal sense and in the sensory sense.
But seriously, unless you're that person, if you're just smoking an ounce of weed, even in a state where it's illegal, why are you bothering to waste taxpayers' money by going and picking out the little guy? Okay? Why bother?
Because it's a vendetta for some people. We must, everybody, yeah.
It leads right back to who's making money, follow the money trail, right? If you're in a state, where
if
you're in a state where you have for-profit prisons, I guarantee you, taxpayers, you are paying far more than you need to for the criminalization of minor offenses.
For the regular person who just wanted to smoke a little weed.
Or somebody who is out on the corner selling a freaking cigarette to somebody. Mr. Garner.
Yeah, that guy. I know. Was that in New York?
That was Eric Garner.
I remember that.
New York, maybe. Eric Garner was literally just selling single cigarettes to people. And they choked him to death. Talk about wasting taxpayers' money for and killing people you don't need to.
That's just violence. That's just people wanting to be violent and wanting to assert their authority, their dominion. That's all that is. And that's a serious problem.
It is. And when that crap keeps happening in a department, the entire department needs to go down and be replaced.
Hello, Fort Worth. There's a problem. This has happened in Fort Worth twice that we know of in just the last few months. Something needs to change. There's a problem.
This is taxpayers. Taxpayers, you need to go out and demand the change. Mm-hmm. I am certainly going to go and be part of the people that, you know, demand that it, you know, the investigation continue for an officer that harassed a bicyclist that far. Mm-hmm. And the reason that we can do it here in Corvallis is because we demand that accountability. If you're a taxpayer where these minor convictions are something you're paying for, be aware that you're paying with, you know, you're talking with your dollars there. If that's what you're concerned with, make sure your dollars are going to something that's worth it. Mm-hmm. Jail the rapists. Jail the murderers. Don't jail the people that aren't. Don't jail the people that aren't worth it.
I'm gonna tell you the truth about what I feel about pot. I don't think anyone's ever killed anyone because they're stoned. I don't think. I could be wrong, but I don't think so. Now, you could argue that someone may be impaired and could cause accidents, but that's why you regulate, just like with alcohol.
DUIs. It's still a DUI if you're under the if you're under the influence of marijuana and you're driving, you're doing it wrong, buddy.
And that's what I said.
Yeah, and going to jail for a DUI, I understand that.
I do understand. It's just like alcohol. It's regulated, and you don't go to work stoned.
So is that something you believe, removing somebody's freedom for that? No, you don't want people to be jailed for as a punishment for a DUI?
Oh, sorry, I got mixed up. I thought you meant just for smoking pot.
No, for a DUI, for driving under the influence.
Yes.
So how long would you personally consider an appropriate punishment?
Well,
I know you're not in charge of it, but
I'm not, and I don't even have a driver's license, so I really can't comment. I know people get caught with DUIs, and they usually just get fined, and they get points on their record or whatever. Maybe people would stop doing it if they did get put in jail. I don't know, maybe a few months, maybe a month. I don't know. As much as the people who are going to jail for getting their kids into college by lying, at least as much as that, I would say.
I'm not sure jail is. I'm sure jail would be good for some people.
Yeah.
I'm not sure jail would be appropriate in all cases.
Yeah.
I do know removing a driver's license would, for me, would definitely look, you're not driving for a considerable amount of time.
The problem there is, though, people still drive. You're not really doing anything because people will still drive.
Well, that's true, but you can't go and get insurance, and the next time you drive and you get into an accident,
you're really going down.
Then you're really
going down. That sounds fair. You have your license taken away, and if you dare drive and get in an accident,
or get caught or get caught driving,
then you go to jail. That sounds fair.
Then you go to jail.
Yeah. So you get your license taken away, which I think is how it works now. You get your license taken away, and if you dare drive and get caught, then you're going downtown.
I have no idea for how many people actually removing a license actually works. Because I know of several people that I have seen have had their license removed, and they still drink and drive. They still do it. They still drive while under the influence.
Do you want to hear a true story?
Yes.
You know, I love my true stories.
Love your true stories.
Okay, this scared the shit out of me. I'd never been in a car with someone who was drunk before until it was, I think, like 2005. There was someone I was friendly with at the place I worked. I guess I won't say we're friends, not anymore, but I was friendly with her. She was quite older than I was, because I was probably 34 something at the time, and she was probably in her 50s. And I'm naive a lot, and I guess in my mind, I didn't really think about this, but I guess instinctually I thought I would be safe around her because she was older and she was a little bit like a mother figure to me, and instinctually I thought I would be safe. So a lot of people in the office went out to this place. It's a neat place. It's called the Loneliest Monks. We went there, and just, it was a big place. They had like shows, like people singing and doing dances and stuff. And so we went, and we all, like had dinner and stayed and everything. And I was going to ride with her. She got massively drunk, to the point where she and her friend were up on the table, like doing this kind of thing, massively drunk.
Which is fine if you're going to take a cab home.
She was my ride.
Get table drunk all you want if you're taking a cab.
Right.
But she was driving you.
She was driving me, and I made a poor decision. I got in the car with her. It was a poor decision on my part. I just didn't know what else to do. This was way before Lyft, and calling a cab, the cab may come. It may come an hour late. I don't know. And the buses were not running because it was way past bus time. So I didn't know how to say to anyone, please take me, she's drunk. Because I also didn't want to hurt her feelings. I mean, there was no excuse for me getting in the car with her, except for I could just say all these feelings were going through me. I didn't want to hurt her feelings. I didn't know who else could take me. I felt trapped. I didn't know what to do. So I got in the car with her, and she was driving like she was in a video game.
Because that's, if you actually do, look, you at home, go have a bunch and get on Steam, go on a driving game. That's probably what it feels like.
Shit out of me. And she even lived that
for everybody else.
I ended up going to her apartment because there was no way she was going to take me 12 miles to my apartment. I ended up going to her apartment, and I mean, I was like this the whole time. And she was all like, "We're fine." Oh my God, it was not fine. I went to her apartment. She spent the entire night crying and talking about how she was going to get a gun and shoot herself. And I spent the entire night trying to get her psychiatrist on the phone, but I just got the answering service, and I didn't know anything about the difference between an answering service and the actual office. I didn't realize I wasn't talking to doctors. And they kept saying, "You need to call 911." And I didn't want to get her in trouble. So I was saying, "No, I'm not going to call 911. I just need to talk to her psychiatrist." And they wouldn't wake her psychiatrist up. I really wish they had woken her psychiatrist up, but they wouldn't. They said, "We're just the answering service. We can't help you." So I spent the rest of the night on the phone trying to get her answering service to do anything. I didn't want to call 911. I didn't want her to get in trouble. And so I ended up like going home. I don't remember how I got home, but I left like at 7 o'clock in the morning, and I never talked to her again.
Well, you never talked to her again. That's, but she probably went out and did it again.
I'm sure she did. I mean, that was 14 years ago. I don't know what happened to her. I don't know if she's still alive or what. All right.
That's a scary situation because we have so much, we have a huge body of proof that DUI drivers kill people a lot.
She could have killed a lot of people. And actually, I'm going to walk back that statement. I hate doing that, but I did visit her again because she moved to the same neighborhood I was in. So I went on my own. She had a Halloween party, And I went on my own. I walked there because she was in my neighborhood. And I stayed, and she had like cat litter cake, which I'd never seen before. She had a nice, really nice party. And I left on my own. I walked home. So I did see her again. I did talk to her again.
But that's a very scary, that is an incredibly scary experience.
Yeah.
It is. It's a very scary experience to be in the car with somebody who is drunk and is supposed to be in control, and they're not.
And someone you trusted, because, I mean, I consider myself pretty good friends with her. I mean, you know, I would talk to her every day. I mean, we're at work, so of course I talked to her every day, but I would text her. Did we have text back then? No, maybe not text, but I would call her. And, you know, I considered her a decent friend. And I made the mistake of trusting her. Now, I will also say, in hindsight, she was batshit crazy because she lied to me about a few things. I found out later she lied to me about a lot. The woman who was dancing with her on the table, she said that was her daughter. I found out later that wasn't her daughter. That was actually the daughter of the man she was dating. So, and it just got really weird. The more I found out, the more weird it got, because the guy she was dating was really weird too.
So she obviously did break the law.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't hurt anybody, but she did break the law. Would you have supported punishment for her?
Well,
is your opinion different now than it used to be?
I mean, I don't know, because I didn't want to get her in trouble. I mean, if she got caught, I guess the same thing we were talking about. She should get a DUI and not drive.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the same thing we were talking about. I wasn't going to call the cops on her. And even now, I don't know. If I saw someone driving drunk, yeah, I would probably call the cops. I hope I would never get in the car again with someone who was drunk, so hopefully I'll never be in that situation again.
Do you favor a more when I use the word progressive, I mean like step up punishment system for people who do the same crime over again?
You mean like if they do it again, they get
a worse punishment?
Yeah. I mean, if you do it once, maybe you were just stupid and uninformed, so you get a chance to learn. And if you do it again, it means you just want to do it. So yeah.
Because addiction works in funny ways.
Yeah.
If you're an addict, you literally can't help but do it again. So somewhere in there, treatment has to be included in the punishment. And you may not know you're addicted.
Yeah.
And even through the punishment system, you may not admit you're addicted. But if you are, you're just going to keep doing it again and again, because you can't help yourself until you realize inside your own mind, this is a self-fulfilling prophecy for me. And then you have to accept that you have to stop. Until then, the addiction's got a hold on you, and you're just going to keep doing what the addiction tells you to do.
And that's someone's own journey. That's for them to figure out. I mean, we need to help people. I do believe that if someone has a problem, we need to help them. I don't think we should just punish. We need to help them also. But if people try to help, and if jail isn't enough of a deterrent, if having a license taken, if going to counseling isn't enough, ultimately it comes down to you. You have to help yourself.
Yeah.
And
somewhere in there, in those first few steps, with whether it's marijuana, cocaine, opioids, heroin, meth. Mm-hmm. Somewhere in those first few steps, I think it is important to identify whether this is an addiction or whether it's just something somebody did off the cuff just once and screwed up.
Yeah, I mean, and when we talk about opioid addiction, there's so many things that go into that, because there's usually a reason someone gets addicted to opioids in the first place. It's usually they're in pain. Maybe they had some kind of accident and they need the pain pill and they get addicted. And there's this whole thing with the company thankfully going out of business that pushed so many people into addiction. So there's a lot there if you're addicted. A lot of the times the people who are addicted are victims in themselves and of themselves. They're victims. So you can't place the blame squarely on them. And in some cases, we're not just talking about blame. I mean, in this case, it's not easy enough saying, you're to blame, you're to blame, you're to blame. It's more like, well, what are we going to do? It's not your fault that you got in an accident and you're addicted to painkillers, but we have a problem. We need to do something. So we all need to figure out what to do.
Yeah. It's important not to, well, punish the behavior, mm-hmm. not just the person who happens to be the victim. And this kind of leads into prostitution. Uh-huh. We punish prostitution by putting prostitutes in jail. But here's the thing is that a lot of prostitutes, feel they don't have a choice. Mm-hmm. They have one thing that is valuable to them, and they're going to make money off of it, whether they want to or not. And if we punish them for that, we're not giving them any other option but to say, you took the thing that you felt was valuable, and we are going to devalue it. Mm-hmm. I don't think any prostitution should be punished at all.
I agree 100%.
I really, really favor legalizing prostitution and making sure that it is regulated.
Regulating.
Every state, every time, everywhere.
And I agree, because one of the reasons why I'm pro-choice is I believe it's a woman's body. She can do with it what she wants.
Exactly.
Well, you extrapolate from that, it's a woman's body. She can use it how she wants. Mm-hmm. If it's her body and she is in complete control of what happens, then it's not my business what she does with it. Now, if she's being coerced into doing this, if she's underage, that's a different thing. That's human trafficking.
Yes.
But if she is doing this, if she's in control, if this is what she wants, I'm not going to tell her not to.
Now, about human trafficking.
Yes, that is a bad, bad thing.
My heart tells me to come down like a ton of bricks. Mm-hmm. Because what I've seen, the majority of human traffickers are the upper 1%. These are the people, they want the slaves, but they don't want to have to pay the slaves.
Right.
So they bring the slaves in from other countries and then they treat them like crap. Mm-hmm. They give them mattresses and closets. They don't give them any medical treatment, no days off. They barely pay them. And when they do pay them, they don't allow those people to send their payment home.
No.
They even charge them. Yeah, and then they'll charge them more than what they're earning simply to stay with them.
That's disgusting.
Exactly. So I am enormously in support of slamming the crap out of human traffickers.
Me too.
Take away everything. Take away their houses. Take away their jobs. Take away their savings accounts. Take away their access to money. Stick them in jail. When they get out, they can go be the slaves that they wanted to own in the first place.
Right. They need to be in jail. There is no mercy for those people.
Is that reasonable of me to want them to suffer that badly?
I mean, that's a gut reaction. That's a feeling. You want them to suffer.
I want them to suffer like the people that they're making suffer.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I think it could actually be a real deterrent.
Yeah, I mean, there is a logical reason for putting them away. They committed serious crimes. They need to be out of society. They need their access to money and people and everything else taken away. They have abused it too much. They shouldn't have access to it anymore. Yeah, they need to be taken out of society.
But it's very sad that these people rarely get what what I feel they deserve. They might get a slap on the wrist. They might get a fine. But they might go to jail for a month.
And when you think about it, these are organizations. The people at the top tend not to get caught. The people who get caught are the human runners, the actual human traffickers, the people. It's kind of like what we were talking about. Remember the show we watched last time? Criminal
UK, yeah.
The last episode where they had the actual truck driver in prison, and he said he didn't know anything. So you see the truck drivers getting caught, and yes, they did do something bad. They were complicit, but these aren't the organizers. The organizers are somewhere behind a TV monitor or something. They don't get caught, and so the people who are pulling the strings are out there. I would rather those people get caught. I would rather those people go to jail. I mean, yeah, if the truck driver really knew what he was doing, knew he was transporting people, maybe, yeah, he should go to jail. But the people who should be hit with a ton of bricks are the people who are organizing it.
The people who are ultimately responsible for making these people into slaves.
And the people who will keep doing it, you put the truck driver in jail, that's great, but the process still goes on. The crime still goes on because you haven't cut the head off the snake yet.
Yeah. It's a very rough process trying to figure out whether you support being quote unquote tough on crime.
Yeah.
Or not. The 3 strikes law really sucks to me. I wish it didn't exist.
Yeah. It's not cool.
Because laying out a line in the sand for everyone doesn't work. It doesn't help. Each and every person commits a crime for their own reasons. And unless you take that person's honest story into account, you're never going to be able to stop them from committing either the same crime or a different crime again and again.
And you're hurting that person, because if you lay out the same strategy for everyone, blanket, no matter who you are, you're missing the different circumstances. I mean, maybe you have someone who was indoctrinated into a gang when they were 7 and they don't know any other way, and if they try to leave, they'll be killed. We need to protect that person. We don't need to punish them. You need to keep everyone's circumstances in mind.
That is true. Unfortunately, a lot of the rehabilitation services, even in a place like Oregon, especially in a place like Oregon, we pride ourselves on our ability to rehabilitate people in order to be useful back in public. The reality is, the second we try to put those people in a rehabilitation system, we run out of money.
Yeah.
And those people get re-released far sooner than they should. beds suddenly just that there are no beds for people who need them. Violent criminals get released out onto the street because judges are more and more are restricted from sending these people to mental facilities because we simply don't have enough resources to help them.
Yeah.
This is ridiculous. We have no money. If it takes money, then we're going to have to figure out where the money's coming from and put it towards something useful. But we can't do that in a for-profit prison system because the for-profit prison system is putting that money into the pockets of private citizens.
They
don't want to spend it on the city. So
they have a conflict of interest.
Exactly.
They don't want to save money. They don't want to save money. They want the government to spend money.
Yeah, they want the government to spend money on them, and they don't want to have to spend money back into the government.
Trickle-down economics doesn't work. Go figure.
Exactly. It does not work. Doesn't work. The for-profit prison system doesn't work, and punishing people for small crimes doesn't work.
Well, we've had a lot of comments, and actually Sai opened up to us a bit. So even if we don't get to see his face, we get to see his soul. And I copied what he opened us up about. Oh, I can't talk. I'm going to read this. I'm going to read this out, what he said. He started out, he said his first accident was with an uninsured, unlicensed driver. He got screwed. Yeah, I hear that a lot. He said he woke up drunk once while they were driving, coming back from Tijuana. He's much wiser now. And then he said his story, it's a different story, I'm guessing, is better. Asked me in 3 weeks. But then he said, that's a plus. You never, okay, he's talking about what I said. Hold on. My bad was I knew how drunk I was, but that was shit to how drunk he must have been. I guess the person driving. There was a moment where I was thinking, how can you be driving so good? Where I can barely see straight, even in this fog. That's when I realized he was passed out. That's not good. So yeah, that's bad.
Yeah, that is, I was 16 when I had my first experience in with a drunk driver. And I say first because it wasn't the only experience.
Oh, okay.
And I eventually forced the person to pull over so I could use a payphone to call my mother, because at that point I was not confident of my ability on those roads to be able to take the car where it needed to go. And I wasn't sure whether I was scared or more angry. I was kind of scared that I'd be so angry I might actually hit her. That's, you know, that confusion of being a teenager and being in a really scary situation. So I totally, you know, I get the confusion of, you know, actually being in a car with a drunk driver.
And it's hard because sometimes it's someone who is a parental figure, or someone older who, you know, we're taught to defer to our elders. We're taught that they're supposed to know better, but that's not true. They don't always know better. And it's scary.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I cut you off.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
If you are the one, if you are also drunk, and I've been in that situation too, where I was drunk enough where I was like, I can't drive. Are you joking? Somebody else drive. And so somebody else drove, but they were drunk too. But being in such an inebriated state, I couldn't tell.
And that's bad on both of you, really.
So, I mean, it was obvious that in that situation, you need to look forward and say, okay, so who's drinking? Are we all drinking? Great. Let's just spring for a cab. Let's just spring for a cab, or we'll call somebody who's not drinking. The person who's not drinking should ideally either be trustworthy enough not to drink, or be close enough to be able to be called.
Yeah.
When you're done drinking.
Or if you're lucky enough to have a place in your neighborhood, walk. Just be careful. I mean, people can assault you even when you're walking. But that's one of the things I loved. I live in a very mundane neighborhood now with nothing cool near me. But I used to always live in neighborhoods where the nightlife was all around me and I could just walk to whatever I wanted and it was no big deal. I was just there. And I loved it because it never mattered. It never mattered how I was going to get home. I was a block away from my apartment. And so, you know, that was my solution.
Of course, even walking, you can still get lost.
You can still end up walking in the street by accident.
I've done the sidewalk. I've gotten lost, gone down the wrong street. It's entirely, you know, sometimes if you keep drinking like that, sometimes you kind of need a babysitter.
Yeah.
You need somebody else who's either had less than you or nothing at all to make sure that, look, this is your door, not the door down the street.
Yeah, this is your door. There are your keys. Okay, you got your keys.
You know, you go in, lie down, go to sleep, have a good night, see you tomorrow.
True story. I used to live on the south side where like the Cinemark theater is and Mellow Mushroom and a bunch of restaurants and hotels and stuff, the hot spot. And I lived literally a block down from Mellow Mushroom, which I love. That's where I'm going for my birthday. And I was there by myself and I was inebriated. And I walked out of the Mellow Mushroom and I was looking down the street at my apartment complex and I just got overwhelmed and I sat on like a little, I don't know, it's the thing, like a utility type block that you sit on. It was just a little utility type block. I don't know if it was for the cable box or the power, whatever, but I just sat on it outside of the restaurant and I was like, I don't know if I can do this. I sat there for a little while and then I was like, okay, I can do this. And I got up and I walked home. So even a block away. Yeah.
I have had moments where, you know, you do things when you're drunk that, you know, you regret later.
Mm-hmm.
Like breaking things.
Yeah.
Now, in my inebriated state, you know, obviously you can't write stuff, right? No. Like you're like, I can't write.
I'm a good writer.
I once did, and this was the era of I considered an officer to be a community service person and not a law enforcement.
So cute. That's so cute.
When I was staring at this, like I think it was a ceramic vase or something. Like I either sat on it or kicked it or something.
Oh dear.
And I was really sorry for myself. And like I turned to kind of like, can you write my name and number down and they can call me and I can pay them. I can
I'll pay for it.
Like and he did it and he taped it up on the door, you know, but you can still take responsibility for yourself if you're, you know, if you have that in mind. There are a lot of people that cannot. So if you're willing to take the consequences of your action, it should be that instead of now honestly, that officer could have taken me to jail.
He could have. Public drunkenness, right?
Public drunkenness, you know, breaking other people's property, stuff like that. He could have taken me to jail. But you know, I was more than willing to deal with it when I was sober, and
he just so sincere.
He let me go along my merry little way.
That was nice of him.
But in today's age, that's not always likely to happen, which
not a given.
Which is really sad.
Especially, I mean, you were a nice little white girl. I'm going to be honest.
Oh, yes, I did have white privilege. If that had been a person of color,
especially a black man,
that probably would not have happened.
Nope. if a black man tried to play the cute, I'm sorry, you know, I'm just drunk card, yeah, it wouldn't have happened.
In today's society, a drunk Muslim.
Yeah. They're not getting.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine the response to that?
Would not be good.
I mean, there are reports, and there are reports all over the United States that I've heard of Muslims being bullied no end for the mistakes that white people are, you know, white Americans are just, you know, kind of whatever.
Pat it on the back. Oh, how cute. You go run along. Boys will be boys.
Exactly. But a person of color who is a Muslim is automatically considered to be a danger to society.
Yeah, they're automatically suspect.
That view we need to cut that shit out.
Have that one right. Same treatment for everyone, regardless of their country or their ethnicity or perceived religion, needs to be the same. And I will say, even as white women, we do have an advantage ourselves. We're cute and we're women. So we can play the cute girl card. We can go, oh, we're so drunk.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, we didn't know what we were doing. We have a card to play too. We're the cute women. We can do that. And men can't. So, yeah. And I
That's pretty shameful. When you think about, I mean, that difference in viewpoint feels horrible to me.
Mm-hmm.
Even a white guy would not be looked at the same way that we are if we get a little too happy, a little too inebriated, you know, and then do something wrong.
Yeah, we might be more likely to be let off because, you know, oh, I'm sorry. And it's not even that we're meaning it.
Yeah.
In my case, I wouldn't mean to be using anything, but, you know, I do I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. You know, I'm just the bewildered, cute little girl, and I don't mean to do it, but yeah.
But the privilege exists for us.
Yeah.
It does exist for us.
It is a card we have, and even if we don't mean to play it, it's there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's distressing. Yep. And I don't know what to say. I really don't know what to say.
Yeah, you know, I think one of the very few things we can do is actually acknowledge that it does exist.
Yeah.
If you have a privilege, just simply acknowledge it exists, because later on you may come across somebody for whom that privilege does not exist, and somebody who is being treated unfairly because they don't have that privilege, and you may be able to stand up for them.
Yeah, and say, look, I saw that. I mean, I saw that the officer pinned her to the ground. She wasn't resisting arrest. I mean,
now the bicycle rider.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
Was not white. Whether the officer meant it or not, they were affected by the difference in privilege.
Yeah.
Whether they meant it or not, whether it was an obvious, quote unquote, obvious factor or not, you are affected by that difference in privilege.
Yeah.
The simple fact that they did not have white privilege was a factor, whether you meant it or not as an officer. Just acknowledge it. Acknowledge the fact that it exists.
And fire him. He should be fired. I mean, from what I read from that article, if everything is true in that article, that officer should be fired. Because that's not the way
everything. See, I don't. I can't say it because I don't know. I don't know all the facts. I don't. I wasn't there. I don't know all the facts. I haven't viewed all the evidence. I'm not in a position to decide whether he should be or not. But they're all saying, race was not a factor. Yes, it was, because it existed. Whether you realize it or not, you need to realize that the difference in privilege there exists. It needs to be acknowledged publicly. Otherwise, we brush by it as if it does not exist.
And the truth is that Black people and brown people do tend to be accosted by the law enforcement more often than white people. It's just the truth.
That is, it is statistically proven, which means someone somewhere has got to fix it. We have to fix it somehow. We got to knock this shit off.
Well, articles I've read said that part of the problem is that law enforcement tends to gravitate towards minority neighborhoods. So if they're more present in minority neighborhoods, yeah, more minorities are going to get caught doing stuff. Whereas if you're in just a traditionally white neighborhood, you might not get caught because the police aren't there. So that's already a bias there. They're staking out more people of color than white people.
Yeah.
And so that's not right. That's not right.
People around here who are homeless are more likely to be people of color than people who are white. So automatically, the law enforcement is going to come into conflict with people who are breaking the law more often, who are people of color.
Yeah.
Whether they mean to treat them kind of roughly or not, it's something we still need to acknowledge and make public.
Yeah.
It needs to be publicly acknowledged, very publicly, so we can stop that treatment and change the way our society is working.
Yeah. Whatever happened to innocent until proven guilty? We lost that a long time ago. That's a big part of the problem. People are
That's true.
Like
we treat people as if they're guilty.
Mm-hmm.
Before they ever wind up arrested.
Just like with this woman in Oregon. I mean, she was riding a bicycle on the wrong side of the street. Maybe that's not the smartest thing to do, but it's not worth being hauled off to prison for. It's not like she was driving a car in the wrong lane.
She wasn't arrested. She wasn't arrested for the fact she was riding on the wrong side of the street. But which I actually, if it had been a major road, I would have understood.
Yeah.
The reason she was arrested was because she refused to cooperate.
She said, "I won't answer questions."
Exactly. I won't answer questions. I won't tell you who I am. Whether she was right or wrong, a lot more patience on the part of the officers might have diffused that situation to either the point where she decided to capitulate, or to the point where the officer could have changed the situation to a warning instead of an automatic, I'm going to punish you and make you pay now.
Yeah, none of that should have happened. They should have just let her off with a warning, say, look, okay, if a police officer comes up to you and asks you, well, okay, we're going back to, she wasn't driving a car, so she wasn't required to have identification.
No, but if doing something wrong, she was required to tell the officer who she was.
I guess, but
it was, what she was doing was illegal, but, and she should have told the officer who she was, but the officer could have easily diffused the situation with, look, if you keep riding on the wrong side of the road, accidents are going to happen, which they have happened in Corvallis. We want to prevent that.
Okay.
Do me a favor, move over.
And that's all. He didn't even have to ask who she was. It really.
And if she refused to move over to the other side of the street,
then that's different.
That would have been cause for an escalation.
And then you have a high-speed chase with a bicycle, and that's just weird. Yeah. So if she refused, pull her over, pull her over, and then maybe.
Well, I mean, it was a small residential street. You would have known within seconds whether she decided to follow the instruction or not.
And I looked at part of the video. It really is a small street. Yeah. And it looks like the kind of street where you can't really tell. It's not like there's a line in the middle that tells you which is the right side and which is the left.
Yes, there is. On every single street. There is. There are blue dots.
Residential streets?
Residential streets
have blue dots. Those on residential streets. We have
blue dots. We have blue dots in every single street that tell you where the middle of the street is.
We don't have that. That's interesting. Okay. Well, then maybe there is a case.
So I don't mind them telling people just move over, but de-escalate. Don't.
Yeah, please.
You don't have to go that hard.
They shouldn't have treated her like a hardened criminal. The girl was probably 18, 19.
And now she's got an arrest record.
And now she's got a video on the news that we can see, and it's just not right.
Yeah.
I mean, God. It's just, that's why people don't trust the police. It really is why.
Yes. And where trust is eroded, then we're just going to keep having more of these problems.
Right. I mean, like I said earlier, the only safe reaction to a police officer is freezing. Because anything you do will be cause for them to shoot you or arrest you or tackle you or anything else. Very distressing.
Well, we had another person in chat. I'm not sure who they are.
Oh, I think these are trolls.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Cybernaut, you can't write when you're drunk.
I said, Timu.
Run like a doctor.
Yeah, he can't. He'll be like, oh. He can't write when he's
10th gear. Well, yeah. 10th gear, can't catch me.
Well, then you go to Corvallis.
High-speed bicycle chase.
With your white male privilege, you go to Corvallis and you test those cops. Let's see how you do.
He doesn't have white male privilege. He has old guy privilege.
That's true. I can't hurt anybody.
I'm too old.
What, Sonny? Get off my lawn.
I remember back in WW2
when I was 50 years old.
I flew a Spitfire.
Yeah. He said we should get a police officer on this show. Honestly, I don't think I would want that.
I have known officers that were plenty nice.
Okay, they would have to be a reasonable person.
But there are so many officers that are so different now, and they usually aren't allowed to come for interviews in representation of their jobs anymore.
They may not be allowed to.
Because there are so many policies that could be so widely interpreted. They don't want their officers speaking for the department. So I wouldn't want an officer putting their job in jeopardy, just to come out for an interview.
And I wouldn't want the PR person to come. They might send the PR person. The PR person.
No, that's not an officer. That's just somebody who knows how to talk.
Right, and we don't want that. We don't want a canned answer that says nothing and promises nothing.
But here's the reality. I'm afraid, as a privileged white person, I am afraid of our legal system. I am afraid of our law enforcement system. If I, as a white privileged person, am afraid of this system, I can only imagine the hell that people of color and immigrants and everybody else must feel every time they walk out on the streets. People who get a parking ticket who don't want to go to court because they're afraid they're going to get taken away.
Right. And I will say that, I mean, even though we do have this privilege, I've known plenty of white people who were burned by the justice system. Because, you know, in my 20s, I hung out with a lot of alternative types, you know, fringe types, counterculture types. And none of us were like, you know, white bread above, supposedly above the law, you know, never do wrong type people. So we were all afraid of the cops. And I know people who had to go to court for things. And so I would like to think I earned my distrust the honest way. I've seen the justice system not work for a lot of people I know.
Yeah.
And in some cases they were white males, but they weren't the mainstream. They weren't like people that the cops maybe knew. They were fringe people. They came from a bad neighborhood. They were poor people. They were, some cases they did drugs. They just weren't, you know, the type of people maybe that the judges and the cops would hang out with. And so it didn't go as well for them.
Well, the last thing I would encourage people to do is the last thing people want to do. When you receive the summons in the mail, go do your jury duty.
Go.
You know what?
They were arresting people for not doing that.
Quit fucking whining about having to go do jury duty, because you could be the very last line between somebody who is rightfully jailed and somebody who's wrongfully jailed. You could be that very last voice that says, I'm not going to be a part of that.
We don't have enough proof. We just don't have the proof. Yeah. And the scary thing is if the other people try to bully you, which I'm sure happens, you're the one holdout, and I'm sure they try to coerce you. That's the scary thing. And I don't ever want to be in that position, knock on wood. But yeah, it's still frightening.
Use the privilege you have and the rights you have for the community that needs you. These are it's something we have the right and the honor to do. Well, I hate to use the word honor, but it's true. We have the honor to actually go and, you know, help other people like this.
Well, it is a duty, and it is legally required. And if there's a reason that you think you can't serve, tell the judge.
Yeah, tell him.
I mean, I mean, if there's a legitimate reason, they should let you out. They just have to decide if it's legitimate or not. But yeah, I mean, I've been to jury duty three times. And I remember one time, you know, they asked the question, is there anyone here currently being prosecuted for a crime? And one person raised the hand. And I felt so bad for him because he had to out himself as someone being prosecuted for a crime. I felt so bad for him. But that's just how they do it.
Although I've actually seen people who have admitted to that and still made the jury.
That's weird. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I mean, I guess you could say they're not guilty yet. They're innocent until proven guilty, so maybe they should be able to serve.
It really depends on the circumstances and whether the lawyers and the judge all agree on the circumstances.
Right. I guess it just depends.
To the person who is actively being prosecuted, a jury can be that final line. Can be that final line between whether their life gets better or gets much, much worse, or whether the community is safer, or whether these people just get released because there aren't enough people to hold a jury and they can't hold the trial.
Right.
Which has happened.
Yeah, that's bad.
you can't hold a trial, then hey,
what happens? I guess they keep trying. The person's in limbo, I guess.
Yeah. You have a right to a trial, and you have a right to a trial by the people who are your peers in your community.
Mm-hmm.
So you may as well do the job yourself.
Mm-hmm. And also think about it. If you're scared of the justice system, if they only choose jurors who are not scared of the justice system, then you're going to get some naive people up there. They need people who have a healthy skepticism of the process, because those are the people who know that you have to look deeper than what is presented to you. You have to think deeper about it. Mm-hmm. You want to be on that jury. You want to be there just to be an alternative viewpoint.
Yeah. Very true. And a reminder to Corvallis voters, you have a ballot in the mail. Deals with 911 services, fill it out.
Okay. I don't think we have anything coming up, but I'm registered absentee, so I'll get something in the mail.
Oh, see, I love absentee vote. I love the Oregon system of vote by mail. Love it.
I like it. I wish we all did that. So much easier. And me, I don't have a car, so it's very hard for me to get someplace.
Well, I think I
think I've been sitting in this chair for 3 hours solid.
You're such a good sport.
Thank you. I try. Yeah. Well, I wanted to get it out there. We had a lot to talk about.
And with that, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I would say eventually, I guess we should talk about the big thing that's going on across the nation. A certain meltdown from an orange monster in chief.
Oh, the toddler tantrum. Mm-hmm. Oh my God.
Yep.
I've been staring at like tantrums from both the U.S. and the British tantrums. And
yes, Boris Johnson isn't happy right now.
Yeah, two big huge babies in power right now.
They are a lot alike. They even have similar hair. It's like
I don't really have a right to tell anybody from Britain, what to do about their prime minister. But
I'll tell them. Move that guy out. I'll tell them.
But I can say if you're depending on Trump to give you anything in Britain, you better think again, because Trump's not going to give you shit.
Unless you do him a favor. He wants a favor first. He said it, his words, but you have to do me a favor.
Exactly.
Or he said, so you have to do me a favor. Yeah, he said it. I mean, he said it all himself.
And hopefully hopefully he's going to get his here in the next couple of weeks. That'd be great.
Well, the latest thing I heard was privately they're saying by Thanksgiving the impeachment inquiry will be done, and then the trial or whatever by Christmas. That's what they're privately saying.
Well,
who really knows?
Yeah. Let's hope that this actually, moves ahead.
He needs to be out of there. It's getting worse and worse and worse.
Well, impeachment is not kicking him out. Impeachment is just making sure he can't do any more damage. And reversing some of the decisions that, were made while he was doing damage.
That would be nice. Well, what has to happen for him to be out of there?
They have to, the other half of the government needs to come in, and then they all need to vote together to kick his ass out. Okay. It's so close now. I don't know if that's going to happen.
I don't know either.
But impeachment, I think an impeachment would really assist in the political process.
I hope so. He needs to be able to stop doing this stuff. They need to take all of his toys away.
Yeah,
he has a timeout.
Time out. Time out. Go to your corner.
Permanent timeout.
Go to your room and stay there until the election.
Exactly. He's not allowed back into the Oval Office. He needs to go to the West Wing or East Wing or whatever and stay there. He can watch his cartoons. And
well,
do his
yeah, play his own. Well, maybe Trump should actually invest in making his own games, since he seems to like to make them up in his own head.
Mm-hmm.
He should go to the Humble Book Bundle.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
That's right. He should go to the Humble Book Bundle, Developing Your Own Games by Springer.
Yeah. Okay.
You can actually turn your ideas into your own video games.
Okay. That's a good idea.
$1,300 worth of instruction as to how to make your own video game. From
That's interesting.
The very basics to the very advanced.
That's good.
DRM free, multi-format. 6,200 bundles have already been sold.
And that's awesome, because you pay $15 or sometimes $25 and you get a huge amount of value.
Yeah. Our second Humble Book Bundle is an RPG book bundle. Okay. Vampires and werewolves, just in time for Halloween, a world of darkness.
And if you love RPGs, that's a great value. It gets lots of play value.
Yep. Sink your teeth into Werewolf the Apocalypse with this bundle of ebooks, perfect for your next tabletop game night. Have a tabletop game night for Halloween, and I promise you, your friends will be your friends forever.
They'll love it. Exactly.
They will love it.
And one of the good things about that is several people can enjoy it. You and your friends can enjoy it.
Yeah. Show up in cosplay and do Halloween right.
Exactly.
And as always, our Humble Book Bundles do help us make our show. We really appreciate all the assistance that you can give us. If you would like to check out our Humble Bundle book bundles, they are available on our Twitter at Beery GE on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe they've been put up there. If they haven't been put up there, they'll be put up there. And
it's on our Twitch. If you're on our Twitch, there's a big that says Humble Partner. There's a big pink circle with the heart in it. It says Humble Partner. So you can just go in there, and you don't have to buy what we talk about. I mean, you can go in, and they have lots of bundles. As long as you're under, the BG Entertainment, we get the credit. So go in and find what you want. Have at it.
And all those book bundles do help pay for our time on air.
Yeah, it's not paying us. It's not like a salary. Don't get us wrong. We still have our regular jobs. It just helps us pay for the little
server space, SoundCloud, things like that.
Yeah. Otherwise, we pay for it ourselves, and we'd be broke. We're broke. I've
broke beer drinkers, but we're happy beer drinkers.
Yeah, I guess. I just paid $300 to credit cards. That was interest alone.
Oh my.
Yeah. And that's all the money I had.
Hashtag reality check.
Reality check, yes. It's finally coming up to bite me. That's just the interest charge. It's still like at the limit. I'm still maxed out. I just don't know what to do.
I hear you.
And I can't be a Lyft driver because I don't have a driver's license.
I don't think I could be a Lyft driver because I don't have a car.
I know. So we're both in that boat. I signed up for that thing for me to sell my anonymized data, but they haven't emailed me back yet.
I signed up to sell my extra back fat, and nobody's wanted that either.
They can
I
have
don't know
mine
why.
too. They can take mine too.
I have lots and lots of,
I do
like
too.
you can have it if you want it.
I don't need it.
I don't need it. Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah.
I don't need mine. They can have that. The under the arm fat.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I got plenty of that.
I've got some extra skin. I've got some extra skin. If you need some extra skin, let me know. I think dollar a square inch. I think that's pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
Sounds fair. I can always grow more.
Fair. Yeah. Hopefully we won't need to though.
Hopefully.
Hopefully
we can fund our beer love through other means.
Yeah, but we have to be careful because if we have too much beer love, then we get the fat right back.
Yeah, and all the extra skin.
Mm-hmm.
Well, guys, it's been great. It's been real, and if you would like to contact us, I can be found at on Twitter at LTepler, LTEPPLER, or at Sorceress Zero. You can contact Beery Good Entertainment at Beery GE. Lola, where can we find you?
At Lola Laracy on Twitter. LARIS Lola, and then LARISCY. I also have a website which is coming due in November, and I need to start using it again because I'm paying for it. Well, I say that. I don't know if I'll have money to pay for it. But anywho's, yeah, that.
And both of us are writers. So don't forget to look for us on Amazon. I've also got books out on Audible if you like the audio books.
I've got a book out, and if you want to listen to my audio version, it's free on my website, lowlaracy.com, and a lot of my stuff is free on my website.
Oh, you're so kind.
Well, truthfully, the quality wasn't good enough on the audio book to try to release it professionally, so that's why I made it free.
That's okay. We'll get you. We'll get you going on the next one.
Yeah.
Well, guys, it's been a pleasure actually coming in, being able to talk about imprisonment, beer, and politics, and all kinds of fun stuff with you today. We hope that you enjoyed having us with you on this podcast, and we hope that you will come and listen to us again. We love you. We hope that you have a really great beer, and we hope that you have a really great night. Good night.
Bye-bye.